This is the Bears Barroom Radio Network. Parental discretion is advised.
Hey, sports fans, it's world champion handicapper Mike North. Punch this number in your phone right now. If you're driving, pull over. 1-800-808-3419. 1-800-808-3419 for a free pick and info for the premier handicapping site in the country, VegasScoresAndOdds.com. It's the only site you'll ever need with expert handicappers like John Anthony, Denny Macklin, Tony Sacco, Ray Monahan, yours truly, and many more. Check out the homepage of VegasScoresAndOdds.com for a tote board with your buddy. Follow Vegas Scores and Odds on Twitter and dial up 1-800-808-3419. It's 1-800-808-3419, 1-800-808-3419, or go to VegasScoresAndOdds.com.
Hey, you're listening to Waddle and Sylvie.
No, you're not.
Yeah, you are.
Our show. This is Shy Fans in the Stand.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
I guess you don't know Glicky Sunshine.
I'm happy as a clam.
Shy Fans in the Stand. With Joe.
Who? Joey Two Scoops?
Greg. You. Worldwide show for the fans.
Shy Fans in the Stand.
Two guys in the seats, scooping sports for Chicago.
I don't know what to say. I'm just a fan trying to talk sports.
Boom. I'm happy as a clam.
You. Worldwide show for the fans.
Quit bragging me.
By the fans, two guys in the seats, scooping sports for Chicagoland.
Boom.
It's irrelevant, awkward elephant in a room apart, drop all the half and hell of it. The type of change a kid, bringing smiles from Bourbonnais. Brags, ruling plays.
No video for you.
They say, biggity bounce on Twitter for reasons unknown. Mitt Rom's nephew laying gold bars of stone. With this part of two scoops, they come together for sure. Here's the ringy ding ding, Tuesday secure. Locked up, not locked down against every single week. Talking all Chicago sports with two guys in the seats. Not portraying analysts, it's just fans with the question. Hitting highs and lows with the shiny perspective. The fire, the passion, listeners, you're in good hands. There's more room. Shy Fans in the Stands. Shy Fans in the Stands.
Beautiful. I'm happy as a clam.
With Joe Mandel
absolutely.
and Greg. Worldwide show for the fans.
I'm an old football connoisseur.
Shy Fans in the Stands.
Look, I don't know what to say. I'm just a fan trying to talk sports.
Neither team deserved to win that game yesterday.
Worldwide.
These seem like predictable run plays.
This is Waddle and Sylvie.
And you're listening to Shy Fans in the Stand.
Run, pass, run, pass.
Shy Fans in the
Shy Fans in the Stands.
And now we're coming to find out that Eddie Pinheiro wasn't even asked what side of the hash he wants the ball placed at.
Oh, absolutely.
Fans in the stands.
Throw the ball and run no huddle. What's up, Hakeem?
What's up, Bears Barroom?
Hey.
Y'all got a great show going on.
Thank you, sir.
Can't wait to come back on.
Hey man, about 9 years ago, I auditioned for American Idol.
What's up, everybody? This is Corey Wooten, and you're listening to Shy Fans in the Stands.
Boom.
Hey, this is David Kaplan from ESPN 1000 and NBC Sports Chicago. You know what one of my favorite shows is? Shy Fans in the Stands with my guys, Greg and Joe. They are awesome.
Boom.
Is that good enough for you, wise ass?
What about our buddy Greg Bragg? Shouldn't we mention him?
No.
This is the end, my only friend, the end of our elaborate plans, the end of everything that stands, the end, no safety or surprise, the end, I'll never look in.
This is the end, my friends. This is the end of Bourbonnais. Welcome to Shy Fans in the Stands. I'm your host, Joey Two Scoops. Call me Joe Mandel. Joining me as always is my good friend and diehard Bear fan and the mayor of Bourbonnais, Greg Braggs Jr. Greggy Sunshine, how you doing, buddy?
I am devastated. Of course, the hits just keep on coming this season. You know, we got to a point where we went all the way up to Super Bowl hopes and Bears 100 and just the most amazing feelings we've ever had as Bears fans in at least my 34 years of existence. And now here we are, come plummeting down, missed the playoffs. Mahomes and Watson last weekend putting on a show, and then we get to come to the news today at the end of a hard work day in the cold, trying to wrap up these brick houses before the cold weather comes in. The true winner of the Midwest in Chicago comes in, and then I get hit like a stack of bricks against the face. Bourbonnais is no more. The 18-year run of one of the more magical places I've ever been to as a sports fan, or just experiencing anything. It's just everything I ever wanted as a sports fan, and it was amazing. It's been almost 20 years for me going there. I never went to Platteville, so when they went to Bourbonnais, it was my first time ever watching the Bears practice. And, I just have so many memories. Devin Hester, Brian Urlacher, Robbie Gold, Mike
Glennon.
Mike Glennon and Mitch Trubisky. Who will ever forget that camp? You had a real spark lit into that camp was when Tariq Cohen, Eddie Jackson, Mitch Trubisky, and Tanner Gentry stepped onto that field and started changing things. It stopped being so boring out there. We had a few guys that were actually hungry. And then the 2018 camp will, for me, go down as the most fun camp of any of them in the 18-year run. The Lovie Smith days were amazing. You had pillars to this game walking around, like I said, with Urlacher and Peanut Tillman and Devin Hester. You're talking about guys that are Hall of Fame or Hall of Fame caliber. And it was incredible to watch those guys go to work every day. But the 2018 camp just had a vibe and a flair and a swag like you've never seen before. And it was so much fun to watch. And Nagy coming in and just a breath of fresh air from the John Fox era. And they came out and just hit us with club dub and fun. And Josh Bellamy got everybody having fun. And before you knew it, they were on their way to a playoff run. And it all fell short. But that 2018 training camp for me will always go down as one of my favorite. And now all that's over. They just announced today that they're moving training camp to Halas Hall from now on. It'll no longer be in Bourbonnais, down in the cornfields and a lot of nothing going on out in Bourbonnais. And it used to be a place where the team would go out there for a month, 5 weeks, and come together, like you see on Remember the Titans, where they all get on the bus and they all get in the same rooms and they all learn to get along and they come together as a team. It's not really how training camp is anymore. These guys come, it's for a very short period of time, and they have a lot of stuff they have to bring as far as equipment, the workout stuff, all the, film and, technology that they use now to study, practice. It's just so much of an inconvenience for them to come out here. I totally understand, that side of it, but, just for me as a fan, and that's who I am. I'm not a player. I'm not in the front office. I'm not a season ticket holder. I'm just a fan. And for 20 years, I have loved nothing more every summer than to go to Bourbonnais, and to know that that's over and not know, like when we were at camp last year, not knowing that that'll be the last time we would ever be there. It's a little sad because I knew the contract was running out this season, so I thought they were going to play one more year there. And, there's been whispers that they were going to go back there, but to now know that it's completely over now, all of a sudden like this, especially after the year and the way it ended, it's just more disappointment added on to the, disappointment that is the 2019 season. And even though it's 2020 now, I'm going to lump this in to the 2019 season. And
there you go.
It's just been a tough one for us. So I'm just looking forward to next year.
It's definitely been a tough month for Bears fans. And we have a special guest with us tonight, don't we, Greg, on the show? So all the way from the New York area, the Syracuse Master, the Barfly Tailgate, Draft on Tap, you name it, here he is. Badge. Ryan Badgley's in the house. Mr. Badge, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, what's up, fellas? Happy to be on with you guys, man. I love the Doors, so to hear the end, I mean, while I'm just as disappointed as my man Greggy Sunshine in the Bears and what transpired today, a huge Doors fan am I, so I love to hear the end. But yeah, Greg, I echo your sentiments, man. Somebody from outside the Chicagoland area that I was hopefully looking forward to possibly making it out to Bourbonnais to be with you guys this summer to witness what you've witnessed all these years. And now the organization, not only have they taken it out of Bourbonnais, Alex Acevedo was chatting with him on Facebook a little bit. He lives there, grew up down the street, and what that does to the impact in that community there as well. I'm sure the Bears most likely will compensate the area and whatnot, but the businesses in that community for that time frame that receive a boost of almost $2 million every summer the last 18 years now are going to see those funds not come into the area. So while it's disappointing for someone like myself who, doesn't have the ability to get there often, looking forward to coming there this summer. And now, will I even have the opportunity to even make it to training camp
exactly
at Halas Hall?
Exactly, because Badge, you went to Bears 100.
Yeah,
how do you think this is going to go down after your experience at Bears 100?
Yeah, I don't have the confidence in the Bears organization that it's going to go well. Hopefully they prove us wrong.
We saw the tickets went with the autograph scratch-offs.
Yeah, the scratch-offs, the lines, the lack of communication, not updating fans, before time that this is how it was going to work. Hopes are very low, definitely at this point, but that's
my biggest concern. People say, I'm seeing people that live closer to that. Oh, that's good. Well, if you can get in, we don't even know how many. I'm hoping the number is 1,000 fans per practice, and then it's about how many practice. Yeah, it'll be 500
I would agree.
Right, that's what I bet realistically. Best case scenario is 1,000. It's probably going to be 500. Then we talk about how many practices are even going to be open, because at Bourbonnais it was 9. How many do you think they're going to open at Halas Hall and let all these crazy hoopla fans like Greg come into Halas Hall? They're not going to let them into the rest of the facility. So it's going to be like Joe says, is pointing in the camera saying 4. I said 5 maybe. Then you're going to have the family night practice at Soldier Field. So it's it. So let's say it's 4. Let's say it's like Joe says that it's 4. Then you're talking about 500 tickets for 4 practices instead of, there were practices at Bourbonnais where there'd be close to 10,000 fans in one day there. Now we're talking about 4 practices and only letting 500 fans in. And you know how fast those tickets are going to go? Because they're free, right?
Yeah.
And then what jokester is going to be putting them on the secondary market, offering up, money to go see this,
They'll be gone.
Well, will they still be free becomes the question, guys. I have a feeling that they've moved this as a say, okay, hey, yeah, we want you to come to Halas Hall, but it's going to be $10, $15, to get tickets, which may drive some people away when it's always been free, especially if they're going to let you on the property. Now there's extra ground maintenance they're going to have to do.
Well, guys, Aldo makes a good point in the chat room. He says, if this is true, they'll lose hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. And how do they make up for that? You charge for tickets.
That's why I am surprised by this move, as much as it makes sense with, the stuff they have at Halas Hall, as far as technology and equipment and being able to sleep in all their own beds and all that. Like I said, they'd have 9 open practices, and it wasn't 10,000 every practice, but there'd be thousands of fans every practice, and then there'd be probably 3 where there'd be 8 to 10,000 fans there. And while it's free to come in and it's free to park, all the stuff inside, you're paying for the food, you're paying for the drinks, you're paying to sign up for tickets or buy merchandise in the pro shop, and and all that's going to be gone now. And to me, it is going to be completely, and they are ready to take and lose a whole bunch of revenue, which is surprising because that's not very NFL-like. I know a lot of fans think, they're doing this because of the money move. They're not. They're doing it for the convenience of the players and the new state-of-the-art, facilities they have there. That's why they built them, and that's why, somebody said it's 22 or 23 teams are practicing at their own facilities now. So they're just bucking with the trend. But like Vic Fangio said last year, and he started having more open practices when he went and became the Broncos head coach. He said Bourbonnais was special, and he kind of saw, what I talked about, how it is like a place of camaraderie. And, the days of Bourbonnais, 15 years ago where guys would be there for 5 weeks and they'd be like driving around Bourbonnais and you'd see them at the bars or they'd be out hanging out at, and they'd get along. Those days are done. Now those guys can't go out because there's too many people that'll post where they're at, social media is everywhere. So they stay in their dorms and play Fortnite and hang out right outside the facilities where they aren't going to get bothered. So, it's just a different time. So I get why they moved back. It's disappointing to an extent because nothing's ever going to be like Bourbonnais. It'll be cool to go to Halas Hall. I'm looking forward to seeing it. But before we get to our guest here in a little bit, we did have I did happen to hop on with Waddle and Sylvie, and we were actually talking about the everything that's here transpired, and Waddle gave some of his input as it pertains to like the players' perspective as far as training camp moving back to Halas Hall.
The big news of the day, are you upset at the Bears for the lack of access as a fan? Or are you cool with it because this could be best for the team? They're staying at home, they're working on football, and that's what they're paid to do. 332-3776.
I'm concerned about my access to Greg Braggs.
And he's going to join us coming up next as a fan who always goes to Bourbonnais. Stay with us. Greg Braggs, one of our great fans, big Bears fan. We actually probably met originally at Bears camp because he was always there filming and talking to the players. Big Bears fan. Braggs, how do you feel about this?
Oh, the pain. No more training camp hugs. How am I supposed to assault you guys?
Well, I said we could still meet in a mutually agreed upon place in August for a sweaty hug.
Well, I'm counting out for that. You guys can schedule that. We can meet up at Halas Hall when they do allow people in for one of the practices. I mean,
now you guys are going to have to credential me, and everyone's going to know that we know each other.
How many practices did you even go to this year, Greg?
The last 2 years, I went to every one but one.
But how many of them do they even hold these days that are open to the public?
They kept scaling back. It used to be like 14 to 16. They'd be there for like 3 weeks, and then it got scaled all the way down the last 2 years to like 9 practices, 8 practices. And one they're in, the first and the last one they're in shorts for. And they really have been scaling it back, and it was for the fans. That's why it's so upsetting, because yes, obviously for the team to be back at their own facilities, it's probably better for them. Although I would argue there was, and maybe Waddle, you can attest to this or deny it, that there was a sense of camaraderie when the guys would go to camp, and maybe that's lost on this generation. But I thought the team came together when they came to Bourbonnais.
Well, it was.
I don't know if that's the same at Halas Hall.
I don't think they're there long enough. Like, you really build the camaraderie when you're there for an extended period of time, and because of the collective bargaining agreement, which I think has been, advantageous for everybody's the length of their career. I think cutting back on training camp practices has been a great thing for everybody. But camp, like you just said, Greg, is like 8 or 9 practices now. So really the ability...
Like, remember the Titans, they're not going out into the woods and getting together anymore.
Exactly.
It's really mostly sad for the fans that, not everyone gets to go to the games as much as I do or other people are season ticket holders. And training camp is free, and it used to be unlimited amount of people. There'd be 10,000 people in a day there, and you didn't have to pay $1 for parking or admission. And there's a lot of fans I felt benefited from that don't get to have the opportunity to go to as many games as someone like me or you.
Yeah.
And now, like Halas Hall, like you guys said, I can only imagine how limited the tickets are going to be. They're all going to be gone right away. So I'm a little upset about that and stressed because I'm not going to be allowed to get in every day unless you guys sneak me in there. So we'll have to figure that out.
I'll help
for
you
another day. But the hits just keep on coming with this season. We need to get to next year so I can get back to my positive vibes. This is hurting me here lately.
Well, the way you talk,
the son of a Mitch Bowl, then this. I just can't take this anymore.
The way you talk about Mitch, you could pass for Cap being up there.
Yeah. Okay. I got to shave my head, but I think I could probably get it done.
All right, Braggs. We'll see ya.
Hey,
Thanks,
have a good
buddy.
one, guys.
There's Greg Braggs, our buddy.
Wow, Greg, what an appearance, man! You had a good 3-minute spot.
Yeah, that's Waddle and Sylvia. I was sending him my DM or Sylvia DM earlier about my thoughts because I heard him talking about it while I was at work, and he was like, "Call in." So I did, and when I did, they were about getting ready to talk to Trey Wingo, and I told Abdallah, their guy that's he's the producer of their show. We had him on as a guest a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, Adam Abdallah, and I go, well, bump Trey Wingo. This is huge news. Bump him for me. And he started laughing. He's like, no, Bray. He's like, I was about to hang up on you right there. I was like, you should have hung up on me. But so then he told me to call in later, and I was able to get a little segment, and it was fun. And these guys, I get it on both angles. I do feel for the family of 4 or 5 or 6, that isn't going to be able to do this, planned vacation of sorts that people would do. Yeah. But, here we are. It's just a new era. And, ultimately we all just want the Bears to win the Super Bowl. So, selfishly, I am upset because it was 9 days of heaven every day, 4 hours of Bears craziness. Like I said, everybody that paid so much to go to Bears 100, I would tell people there, just go to Bourbonnais next year, because there were so many fans so disappointed with their experience and their access and not being able to get up. And I just understood how amazing and rare and special Bourbonnais is, because I've lived it for the last 18 years of my life. And I was a little disappointed for those fans. Me, Badge and Joe, I'm always trying to include everyone in on the fun.
Absolutely.
So it was upsetting to see fans that didn't get to, have an experience, and then you want to try to help as many fans as you can. But now they're going to move it, and I have no idea what's going to happen. And we're all going to be, trying to wait and see what happens with the ticket process and everything else. So it's it's disappointing. It's a sad day, ultimately. I don't care what anybody says. I get the whole Bears side of it, but, come on. Have a heart for some of these fans that, it's been a special place for. I understand the players are going to, be accommodated, and that's fine. Ultimately, that's what it's all about. We want to win championships. And it seems like most of the players, if you look at Anthony Miller and Cordero Patterson and some of these other guys, they're very happy with the decision. And I know a lot of the media members probably are. We'll ask Hub Arkush, who is going to be our guest here in a few minutes.
Yeah.
We'll ask his thoughts from Pro Football Weekly and everything else. He's been covering the Bears for as long as anyone on the Bears beat. You go as far as to say he's a Bears beat legend. I mean, he was there when it was, only a few guys, and now there's all sorts of guys that you can run into that, cover the Bears, but he was there, from long before I was on this earth. So, not to put a number on his age, but he's just been there a long time, and you gotta respect that, as the young buck. I'm always trying to learn as much as I can, and there's no better guy than a guy like Hub Arkush. So I look forward to bringing him on. But yeah, the Waddle and Sylvie spot was fun. And, we'll see how the offseason goes. Hopefully the Bears will stop punching me in the gut. I thought we were done with this when the season ended, and then they just dropped this. They just tried to slide this in on us.
What do they say, right? All good things must come to an end. And let's officially put 2019 behind us with that news today, guys, because we need a new fresh outlook, and hopefully, that starts to happen here moving forward, because it's been a rough go. I mean, even the Minnesota game to end the season, guys. I know we touched on it, Barfly Tailgate. Just going up against their 2s and 3s and not having a good performance. That leaves a sour taste in your mouth now for the rest of the offseason.
Hello.
Absolutely. And, guys, we have Hub Arkush on the line, the executive editor of Pro Football Weekly and the NFL Insider. He's joining us now. Hub, thank you for joining us on Shy Fans in the Stands. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing okay. How you guys doing?
We're doing great, well. Hub. Yeah, we're doing great, Hub. Really appreciate you giving us some of your time tonight. we come across some breaking news as the Shy fans in the stands got hit in the gut. We come to find out the Bears broke some news on us today, and they're leaving Bourbonnais. No more training camp at Bourbonnais, and it's been a place for me personally. Hub, I live in Northwest Indiana. It's not too bad of a drive for me. For the last 18 years, it's been a place of I almost want to call it football heaven, just because how close you get to be as a fan. You don't have to pay hundreds of dollars to go to a game. You can go there for free, and now they've said they're going to move it to Halas Hall, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. I know probably as a media member, I'm sure you're probably excited about this move. Just curious to hear your thoughts overall with the move.
Well, I'm not excited about it. I'll tell you that. I think my wife is happier about it than I am. My dogs are probably happier too, because I won't be gone for 3 weeks in August now. But it's something that was coming. We've seen this coming for a while. Last year, there were only 10 of the 32 NFL teams that went camping, if you will. Of course, the Bears were one of them. And they have built what some are calling now the best facility in the National Football League up at Halas Hall. The expansion project that they undertook over the last 18 months or so, very impressive, and they put a ton of money into it. And it probably, the handwritings are on the wall all along now. I guess what bothers me about it is I still miss Platteville. Bourbonnais was nice. I got used to it, enjoyed getting away for a week or two, and always thought Platteville was fantastic. But, things change, and this is the trend in the National Football League. What I worry about a little bit is I really always thought that the camping was an important team bonding, culture-building type experience, everybody getting away together. They're not going to have that being at Halas Hall. But again, they were in the minority, less than a third of the teams still going away to training camp. And with everything they spent and invested in building the new Halas Hall, we should have seen this one coming.
For sure, Hub. And how many people do you think can fit in Halas Hall for open practices? Because I can't imagine many fans are going to fit in there.
No, I can tell you, they added 2 practice fields as part of the overall expansion. So they've got 4 practice fields, but none of them really offer any viewing room for fans. There's certainly, no bleachers, nothing set up like that you had in Bourbonnais. What was so great about Platteville is that there was only 2 fields, but they were in a valley of sorts with berms and hills going up, and they'd have 10, 12,000 people sitting around the field kind of over the top, and it was a great fan experience. I think they did a really nice job in Bourbonnais, too. They've definitely expanded the parking along with everything they've done at Halas Hall, but I'm hard-pressed to see how they can get more to 500, maybe 750 fans out there for any one practice. And as you know, if you guys have been going to Bourbonnais in the years where there was excitement and they were promising, the crowds were more like 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. So this is not going to be a fan-friendly move. I'm sure that the Bears thought this through, and my guess is they probably even did some focus groups and did some research to figure out how it was going to impact their fan base. But at the end of the day, there's pluses and minuses, and they decided that even though this was not going to be a real fan-friendly move, that it was probably still best for the football team.
Are you surprised that they took the route? Because it seems to me that they're going to lose money on this decision. As our guy Aldo, the head of Bears Barroom, pointed out, I know they make a lot of money at training camp. There's thousands of people that go to Bourbonnais, and like you said, there's no way they're going to be able to accommodate that many people. Are you surprised that it seems like they're going to take a little bit of a cut on this? Because that's not typically what an NFL team would do, right?
Yeah, but I'm not sure that that's how the financials work. I don't think the Bears made money in Bourbonnais, even though they went to a ticket-required process a few years ago. The tickets were free, and so they had some sponsors. They can have training camp sponsors at Halas Hall. They paid a lot of money to Olivet Nazarene University to be there, and so I think one of the reasons they're doing this is that they're probably going to save money on this, not lose money. I don't think that was the driving force, but I think it's probably one of the side benefits to them.
So, like you were saying, might not be as advantageous for the fans, but listening today on 670 The Score, you came across, a rabid fan, and I wanted to play a little audio for the audience, if you don't mind. Mark from Ashburn had just an epic call. I've been listening to ESPN 1000 and 670 The Score since I was a little kid, and I've never heard a caller so fired up today, so I wanted to play this for a second for you, Hub.
Clock, what's up, Mark?
Mr. Arkush, how are you, sir? Mr. McNeil, glad to talk to you guys.
Very good, thank you.
I have all the respect in the world for your football acumen, Hub, and I'm not just saying that tongue in cheek. You know more than I'll ever know. But I'm going to take great umbrage with your lack of respect for Bear fans when you expect us to accept your acceptance of Bear mediocrity over the decades. I'm 54 years old. You named Jim Finks, Hall of Famer. You named Bill Tobin, who had a modicum of success, and I put it that way because there's no championship. Jerry Angelo took a Bear team to a Super Bowl with his general managership with the worst quarterback in Super Bowl history in the form of Rex Grossman. Would you like to hear some names from us Bear fans who are extremely frustrated with this organization? I'll give you Jack Pardee. I'll give you Neil Armstrong. I'll give you Dick Durant. Okay? I'll give you Phil Emery. And Mark, don't call me Lisa Madigan Tressman. Shane Matthews. Steve Walsh. Craig Krenzel. Chad Hutchinson. I can go on and on and on. The vitriol that Bear fans have towards this organization is justified. And I will not accept the mediocrity that this organization has put forth and say, it's okay, we just have to wait. We have to work on the formula. Ryan Pace knows what he's doing. He's a boob. He doesn't know what he's doing. Mitch Trubisky? Come on, man. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mark.
Oh, my goodness, Hub. That was an incredible call. You should be honored that you got to listen to that today.
Well, it'll be played over and over again. I'm sure it'll go down the square history. The reason Mac and I were laughing, I admire Mark's passion, but it really had nothing to do with what we were talking about. Everybody knows some of the great fails in Bears history. Obviously, there's a lot more successes than Mark wants to give him credit for. But at the end of the day, nobody was suggesting that Bears fans should settle for anything. What we were talking about, which I do think is an important question, is why the vitriol? Why the venom, the hate? The horrible things being said about Pace and Nagy 1 year after they were the best in the league at their jobs, and this assumption that everything they do must be wrong. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't have an opinion on Bill Lazor yet because I haven't met him. I haven't talked to him. I actually have talked to Juan Castillo and interviewed him over the years, and he's a pretty good coach. I think it's a big mistake firing Harry Hiestand. I think Harry Hiestand is one of the best offensive line coaches in football, and I think the Bears made a real mistake in letting him go. But Castillo's a nice replacement. Lazor we don't know about, and yet everything they do, if you listen to the radio, if you go to Twitter or whatever, there's these people saying that they're Bears fans who just want to roast them, without giving them a chance to see what's going to happen. And I guess what we were talking about, I know what we were talking about, is how can you be a fan of the team and hate them so much, and that was what Mark was reacting to.
Do you think that it's just from a fan's perspective and seeing this and having conversations with fans every day? I feel like the Bears fans have reached a tipping point because of the miss on Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, and then they both played each other over the weekend on display in the playoffs while we're sitting at home. And I think Bears fans, and you heard it in his voice, I feel like that is where it's kind of a rubber meets the road for Bears fans. It's almost kind of like they've kind of had enough of settling for always missing on that guy. What do you think?
Well, again, I don't think anybody is settling for anything. I think that's where this conversation breaks down. I don't think anybody's more frustrated and disappointed right now, I don't think I know, than Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace, and it is not yet etched in stone that they missed, I should say, on Mitch Trubisky. No pun intended there. It isn't looking good. There's no question about that. Guys, I spend a lot of time working with much smarter football people than me. One of the guys I've gotten, closer with in recent years is Kurt Warner. We've done some games together on Westwood One. And Kurt and I spent almost a whole day in New Orleans a couple of weeks ago talking about this topic. And he is currently, and this is a Hall of Fame quarterback, a two-time NFL MVP, he'll tell you that he is still every bit as, but not concerned, but uncertain about Deshaun Watson as he is Mitch Trubisky. And what's interesting about Patrick Mahomes is that he's in a different category altogether. He and Brett Favre live in a realm that no other NFL quarterback has ever lived in. They do great things. They also make a lot of mistakes, but they do it because of their just freakish arm talent. It's not about being a complete quarterback. And so it looks to me like they missed on Mitch Trubisky. Even if they didn't miss, the trade they made to move up to get him was ridiculous, a waste of valuable draft choices. I get all that. But again, Ryan Pace has also done some pretty good things since he got here. And so I guess when I hear somebody get as upset as Mark got today, my response to them would be, you probably ought to find a different hobby that doesn't upset you so much.
No kidding.
You're not far off there. I think a lot of us could use that advice time to time. And so I guess getting into some of what the Bears here to come in the next few weeks and months to come, Shane Marsall from Bears 100 Proof, another show on our network here on Bears Barroom Radio Network. He wanted me to ask you, what would you do here at free agency at quarterback? What's your move if you were the GM of this team?
Well, I would make two moves. I would definitely sign a better backup than Chase Daniel. There's no way they can bring Chase Daniel back. And ideally, you're looking for somebody who is one of these failed younger veterans who, at least if Mitch is your guy and he gets hurt and he needs to start 4, 5, 6 games, gives you a chance to be competitive, because Chase Daniel didn't. He was brought here for the right reasons in 2018. They probably should have made a change before this season. After 11 years in the league with 7 starts, that's a pretty good tip that you're not good enough to play in the league. They need a backup who's good enough to play in the league. The guys, that are in that category, these younger failed veterans, if you will, obviously Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston. I don't think Ryan Tannehill hits the market. Teddy Bridgewater will, but they can't spend that much money. And so, you may be looking at Mariota and Winston, unless you want to go the Case Keenum route or the Matt Moore route. These are guys that Case Keenum took the Vikings to the NFC title game 2 years ago. So, those would be considerations to replace Chase Daniel. To me, the more important move, they got to draft a quarterback, and they're not going to get one of the top guys. They should not be trading back into the first round, depending on who's there, either at 43 or 50. Maybe you use one of those picks on them. A lot of people keep talking about Jalen Hurts. I don't see any way that Jalen Hurts is going to drop that far. But if a Jordan Love did, somebody of that ilk, Jake Fromm, depending on their analysis of them, you got to go get them. More likely they'll do a day 3 quarterback. We just haven't gotten deep enough into the draft process to know who that's going to be. But I will tell you guys, I'm convinced that Tom Brady and Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers are all going to play again this year, and I'm convinced they're going to play in New England, New Orleans, and Los Angeles. Somebody is going to jump up and say, well, what about Eli? Bring in Eli Manning for a year or two while you develop a young quarterback. Eli Manning can't run the system that Nagy wants to run. And by the way, Brady and Brees and Rivers aren't great fits for it either. So This is the pivotal year with Mitch Trubisky. But I think by taking a chance on a Mariota, I wouldn't touch Winston, not after 30 picks. I don't think you can coach that out of the guy. But, and we're assuming Tennessee signs Tannehill, and I think they will. But even if they don't, he probably gets more money than the Bears want. So I think most likely, you end up with a Mariota or a Keenum or somebody like that to hopefully back up and push Trubisky. And then you get a youngster to develop, and then you go from there. But, guys, honestly, based on what they did in 2018, when Mitch set the Bears' modern-era record for passer rating and actually had an excellent year, and I'm not big on alternates in the Pro Bowl, but nonetheless, he was it. He did go, and that was in just his second year. You have to continue to look at this investment at least one more year, and the best way to give it a chance to be successful, you got to find a starting tight end. I think the Trey Burton will be okay as you, and if not, you can always try and develop Jesper Horsted or Dax Raymond or J.P. Holtz, any of these guys. But the why is the more important of the two, and they've got nobody. Adam Shaheen, I don't care if they keep him around for training camp. He shouldn't make the football team. You've also got to get a better left tackle than Charles Leno. You cannot go out there again at the most important position on the offensive line and ignore the fact that you're not good enough. They've also got to develop a number 2 running back, whether that's going to be Cordero Patterson or somebody else that they bring in. They won't look at Ryan Nall, so I guess it's not him. Tariq Cohen is a third down back. He's a change of pace. He's a special weapon. You can line him up at wide receiver. I think those 3 positions right now, in order to take a step forward this year, are probably more important, not more important, but as important as quarterback. And then you only got 1 starting inside linebacker right now. The other 3 are all free agents. You got 1 starting safety. I don't think Clinton Dix is going to be back. So, if this team is going to be a playoff contender, I never thought they were a Super Bowl contender this year, guys. I thought they could win a playoff game this year, but I still had my doubts about Trubisky and the rest of that offense. I do think they can come back and be a playoff contender again in 2020, maybe even win a playoff game, because the defense is going to be better. People forget that Vic Fangio, as great as he was, and I think he's the best defensive coach in football, last year was his 4th year with that defense. This was Chuck Pagano's first, and he still had an excellent season with a year under his belt and knowing what to do with these guys if they can keep Akeem Hicks healthy. They have a chance to contend again, but the best way to get there is by looking to the future at quarterback while you fix tight end, left tackle, and running back.
Yeah, and just a couple quick ones before. We really appreciate your time, Hub. I know you're really busy this time of year here, wrapping up to the Super Bowl time, and we actually have Ryan Badgley on, our good friend, and he has a show on our network called Draft on Tap, and he's going to be at the Senior Bowl next week. So we thought he'd slide in a Senior Bowl question since he's going to be out there and get some advice from you here, Hub.
Yeah, Hub, appreciate you joining us. Pleasure to talk to you. First off, I 100% agree with Kurt Warner on Deshaun Watson, and we need to get you a show on this network because everything you said, I'm in 100% agreement with, because I couldn't have, if I spoke the words, it wouldn't have been more truer about this organization. But as we turn towards the Senior Bowl next week, I'm going to be joining Aldo Gandia and our draft analyst Danny Shimon down in Mobile. Who is the one player that, if you've seen the Senior Bowl player list, that you could see helping this organization right away on that list?
Ryan, I got to be honest with you. I have not studied the Senior Bowl list yet. I actually was still doing games the last couple of weeks, and I'm going to get into that this week. But, already know enough about, what we're looking at here.
Sure.
I'm thinking, is Bryce Simmons going to be there?
Let me see if he's going to be there, because I have the list in front of me here.
Is the Purdue tight end?
I believe he is going to be there. Hang on.
I think he's going to be there. I think he's going to be there, and I know he's a kid that a lot of the locals are very excited about. It's not a great year for tight ends. The recent drafts have been very, very strong at the top on tight end. There's a few really interesting players, but I think you could get a really good tight end at 43 or 50.
Sure.
And
I don't see him on here, Hub. I don't see Bryce Simmons on here.
I'm not positive he's a senior. I don't know what they're doing with these underclassmen who declare. I thought he was a senior, but
Aldo is saying he is there.
I thought he was, but I just don't know for sure. I will tell you guys that that's the position that they have to be looking at.
Agreed.
Because you can find a George Kittle in the 5th round. You can find a Travis Kelce in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
You can find a Gronk in the 2nd round. So all the tight ends there, they should be focused on. It is a very good year at offensive tackle, but there's a good chance that the top 5 or 6 will all come off the board before 43. And once you get to the left side and you're looking in the 2nd round, you can find them. But most of the great left tackles are top 10, top 15 picks. So my hope would be that they will be focusing at the Senior Bowl on the top safeties, the top tight ends, and the top left tackles, because I would think that may be where they end up using that 43rd and 50th pick. And it obviously is critical that they get them right this year.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement with you, Hub. Those are really the top positions, other than quarterback as well. We, Danny and I on Draft on Tap, really eyeing quarterback as well as one of the top 3 positions that we see the Bears really attacking in this draft. And I appreciate your time and talking with you. I know Joe has another question for you as well.
Ryan, before we talk to Joe, I just want to tell you how jealous I am. I used to love going to Mobile, and I haven't gone in recent years. But it is, and again, I'm not going to say so much for fans because you have to have some media access, and the media access isn't always the best. But it's just a ton of fun. Every coach in the league is down there. There's a bunch of agents and players, and I hope you have a good time.
Thank you so much. My first time down, I'm excited.
Have you got any stories for that bar, that infamous bar that everybody goes to get all their sources from, Hub?
No stories I tell in public.
Well, one more quick one before we spring. Our guy Draft Dr. Phil from the Tape Never Lies. He wanted me to ask you. He did a lot of offensive film breakdown on his tape series. Film breakdown of the Bears. And he wanted me to ask you, do you think that the Harry Hiestand firing was for performance, or do you think he wasn't a fit with Nagy? Because as you mentioned, Harry Hiestand, his reputation, everyone knows how great he is. I'm a Notre Dame fan, so I watched him, develop these guys, that ended up being first-round picks in the NFL. And so I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on why you think they let Harry Hiestand go.
Well, how would you like to have an offensive line right now in Chicago of Ronnie Stanley, Quentin Nelson, Nick Martin, Zach Martin, and Mike McClinchy? That sounds pretty good.
Not too bad.
I would take it.
Shabby.
Yeah. Those are all Harry Hiestand players from Notre Dame. But I think even more than that, some of the guys I'm the closest with these days are Olin Kreutz and Patrick Manley and Big Cat Williams. Cat, I can't remember I don't think he played for Harry. I think Harry came in the year after Cat was done. But he had Olin in his prime, and Olin will tell you he's the best offensive line coach he ever played for. And you'll find that wherever you go when you ask people about Harry Hiestand. I don't think they scapegoated him. I don't think Matt Nagy's that kind of guy. But I do think that it wasn't a great personality fit. And we're not clear. The rumors have been leaked that behind the scenes, the main responsibilities of Mark Helfrich and Harry Hiestand were as run game coordinators. Now, they never had that title to my knowledge, although we never really knew exactly what Mark Helfrich's job was. And so I think it was kind of a combination of disappointment in the running game and just not a great personality fit between Harry and Matt. Neither one of them has ever said that to me, but that's how I read it. And then knowing the two of them, they are very different. And while Harry Hiestand can coach anything, his experience has been more in coaching power running games than the zone read finesse stuff that Matt Nagy's in love with. And so I think it probably just wasn't a real good fit. And I'm not even sure if Harry wants to coach this year. He's got some good family stuff going on. But if he's looking for work, he will not be looking for long.
Well, Hub, we really appreciate your time joining us tonight on Shy Fans in the Stands. For all you folks out there that want to follow Hub on Twitter, you can go ahead and follow him at Hub_Arkush. And Hub, if you have anything any big projects coming up or anything that you want to talk about before we get off the air where people can listen to you?
Well, no, just the usual guys. The Pro Football Weekly TV show runs for the Super Bowl at NBC Sports Chicago, and I don't think I've got a game this weekend, but we'll be at the Super Bowl from Monday to Monday, and so please, guys, spend your time at ProFootballWeekly.com and ChicagoBearsInsider.com and read us in all the newspapers, and I appreciate you guys having me.
No, yeah, thank you for your time. We ran a little over on you. I didn't want to keep you too long because, again, I know how busy you are. And, again, appreciate all the years of coverage. I've been following you a long time, all your coverage. I've always loved everything you do. And now your son, you get to do it with your son. Both you guys do an incredible job. And, again, we really appreciate it. We hope to be able to bring you on again here at some point later when we get closer to the football season.
Yeah, it was fun, guys. Give me a call anytime.
You're the man, Hub.
Right,
Thanks
Hub.
again. Hey, one more question. Is Mitch more Mariota or is he Tannehill?
Well, I mean, actually, all three of them, if you describe their tangibles, their traits, if you will, they're similar style players. Remember Tannehill was actually a converted wide receiver, and so a hell of an athlete. Mariota did as much with his legs at Oregon. Well, no, that's not true. He did more with his arm, but did plenty with his legs at Oregon. So they're all similar style. The one thing, guys, that maybe queers the whole Mariota thing is that you would think if he was their guy, that they might have wanted to keep Helfrich around because, of course, Mark Helfrich was his coach at Oregon. So that may suggest that in spite of these reports that you've heard, and Ryan has never confirmed this to me, that he liked Mariota as much as people try and suggest that he did. But remember, that was his first year here, and there were reports that he considered dealing up for him. But I don't know that to be true. The problem is that I just think that you probably, in this scheme, have more upside with Mariota than you do with Winston. And when we talk about getting one of these failed young veterans who could very well be the next Ryan Tannehill, have the kind of year Tannehill had in Tennessee this year, those are probably the two most likely suspects.
Well, we sucked you back into one more question. Thanks so much, Hub. Again, really appreciate your time, and we'll look forward to more of your coverage here as the season ends and get into the off-season stuff. Thanks again, Hub. Really appreciate it.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Hub. Thank you. Guys, that's Hub Arkush joining us on the line. Oh, my gosh. What a great guy and what a great guest.
Yeah, that was excellent stuff. You know, you can't get better information than a guy that's been on the beat, been in the locker rooms, been, talking to the GMs and all the, different insiders for a long time. And, no better person to get better information from. So exciting guest. Happy he was able to come on. He, we've been messaging a little bit. I ran into him at the Bears-Packers game week 1, and I was kind of talking to him a little bit about maybe coming on, and I want to rush him, and he's like, hey, just let me know anytime. And I didn't call him the next day. I waited, and you know what? The first time I ever asked him, he came right on. So credit to him. That's all class, and we appreciate that very much. Again, a lot of fun and learned a lot there. I'm surprised, because I'm surprised he has a little more positive outlook towards like what they can do next year and how he didn't seem as down on Mitch. Because when I ran into him week 1, I was like, "What's your biggest takeaway from the game?" And he was like, "Mitch sucks." That was his first. That was literally what he said to me. I was gonna bring it up to him, but that was honestly what he said to me. So I was waiting for him to just dogpile Mitch here. But then when we asked him, what he would do in free agency, it kind of seemed like he thought they needed to, kind of go the Greg route. And a lot of what people here on Bears Barroom are saying they should do, and maybe not panic mode on the quarterback. Yes, you want to bring in, someone better than Chase Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel. I don't care. He's not on our team anymore. I get so tired of trying to correct that. My
Billy Bob Thornton's on the team now, Greg.
Yeah, and you know what? Aldo and Phil and Chase, they were talking about that last year in preseason, that they needed to have a better option than Chase. And I was like, why? Mitch is going to play all 16. We good. But, Greg learned a lesson, So now we need to have a better backup, sure, or someone that can push Mitch in competition. But surprised to hear Hub, kind of saying, no, let's see them fix the tight end. Let's see them fix the offensive line. Let's get the run game going with, Castillo. And, as we talked about, this offensive coordinator has a lot of unknowns. We were going to ask him about Bill Lazor, but as he said, I don't know anything about Bill Lazor. So what's the point in trying to figure out something until we get to see what he's all about on the field, from OTAs and mini camps and training camp and preseason. That's when we're going to find out about Bill Lazor. So, it was
the funny thing is, Greg and Joe, is we sat here at this time last year trying to find holes that we had on this team.
Right.
And now look at where we are a year later and look at the holes that we have. And now we've got to patch these holes with limited cap space, 7 to maybe 9 draft picks without a first round pick. So, this is going to be, Hub had the bases covered. He was money, on all this. And, as we've all said all season and now to start the off season, not one of us expected us to be here at this point. Not one of us. And to now be here and in this position, while 2019 sucked, we got to put it behind us. And hopefully the right guys are in the front office, which I believe they are. I'm not a Pace hater. Are there picks of his that are awful? Yes. We talked about it on Draft on Tap last week. We talked about all of his picks. But there are guys that, he's landed on and that have produced and have been really good, and I really believe in him, and I really believe that he'll do that. So I totally second what you were saying, Greg, 100%.
And it'll be interesting to see. That's what we're going to find out, exactly how Pace and Nagy feel about everything by the moves they make.
Yeah.
We're all trying to, grasp at straws, but at the end of the day, we don't know. And more than likely, they're going to be attacking offensive line and tight end right away. It's not going to be quarterback. I'll be shocked if they come into free agency and, they're talking about, Teddy Bridgewater and a $25 million contract. I just can't see it. What about you, Joe?
I can't see it either, man. I just can't. Man, I'm just at a loss for words. I just don't see it happening at all, and I'm just ready for this off season to finally get rolling here and for us to kind of get on the right track. I, for one, am going to be at the NFL draft in Las Vegas, so I'm excited about that, hoping that we can see the Bears turn to the next page, to the next chapter, and hopefully get things ready to rock and roll, because this team can definitely compete. And that's the nice thing I like that Hub had to say, is that this team is going to compete. They just need a couple pieces. I'm right there with you, Hub, and I'm excited to be there for the ride.
Yeah, it's a team that was 8-8. Now, you don't want to, as Yurko was saying, if this team's fooling themselves into thinking they were 20 different plays away from having 10, 12 wins, we're in trouble. I agree with that. But at the end of the day, they definitely, they did finish 8-8, and they could, with some minor tweaks, scratch out a few more wins. Now, again, they won 8 games, and you could argue half of those 8 wins this year, they could have lost, or they played teams when they weren't playing their guys, like the Vikings or whatever. So you can play this game. Yeah, I did not like that. I don't like anything about this season. This has been the worst season of 2018 was like the best Bears season of my life, followed up by the worst. Thank you very much. If that's not Chicago, I don't know what is. But it's just I'm excited to see the moves they make, because I want them to bring in a tackle and a tight end right away, and then I want them to double down on that when they get into the draft. To be quite honest with you, tackle and tight end again in the second round. I want your first 2 moves in free agency, tackle, tight end. Then I want your first 2 moves in the draft to be tackle, tight end, because you can't have enough of them. As we found out this year when we had guys like Jesper Horsted out there, and Rashad Coward's getting thrown in on the offensive line, and so you need guys. You need to just keep, building up that talent and that depth chart and pushing these guys, because, I don't know if they're going to be able to, change out too many guys on the offensive line. Now, they're going to get a new right guard, because Kyle Long pretty much has said that he's done on Twitter. And then you got 2 tackles you're paying a lot of money but are underperforming. And I think the Bears have to consider about possibly replacing one of those. And luckily for us, the guy that we brought on today, Ryan Badgley, a man of many different talents here on Bears Barroom Radio Network, but, he's, specializes in the Draft on Tap. And here in a week, he's going to be down at the Senior Bowl, as he mentioned with Hub. And that's why we brought him on tonight, was talk about the Senior Bowl. And then we had all this chaos with training camp being pulled out from under my feet.
Yeah.
All this other stuff going on. You got Luke Kuechly retiring. You got this going on. You got that going on. You got so many different news.
God.
The Astros are cheating.
Yeah.
You got all sorts of things going on. And we were supposed to have Badge on to just talk about the Senior Bowl next week. And now here we are. And that's my question to you, Badge, because here we are talking about how we fix the offensive line, how we fix the tight end. How do we stock up on talent on this roster, but namely in those 2 positions? Where are we getting those in the draft, and who are you looking at next week at the Senior Bowl from those positions?
I want to kind of add on what you said, Greg, about this past offseason and guys they had in camp. One of those guys was Ian Bunting, a local guy from Hinsdale, Illinois, that all of us, I think, at the end of camp thought would be on the 53-man roster at tight end, who they cut. And made his way to the Jets practice squad, now the Indianapolis practice squad. Well, Eric Ebron is out in Indianapolis. I see a lot of Bears fans looking on free agency wanting him, but when a GM says, yeah, we're not going to re-sign him, well, that tells me he's a problem, and I don't see him being a fit in the Bears organization. So, obviously, offensive tackle, offensive guard. Rashad Coward is a restricted free agent, so we do control his rights. So he's somebody that could come back. Now, wasn't great, but wasn't awful either. Ted Larson is an unrestricted free agent at guard, so he most likely could be re-signed, but I highly doubt it. And then you turn to some of these guys in the Senior Bowl that are going to be there practicing next week and playing in the game. And I look at guard. Now, while Charles Leno had a bad year, I'm in full agreement with Phil, with you. He had a terrible season. I'm not ready to give up on him yet. And I don't think the Bears are going to. So I really believe they're going to probably go guard with one of their first 2 picks in the draft. And I'm looking at a guy like Ben Bredeson from Michigan, who, if you watch the Alabama game, this dude is a monster. Guy that was in Danny's top 10, both his preseason and midseason top 10. This is a guy who could come in and make an immediate impact. Now, at Michigan, he was a left guard. I don't think it would be super difficult for him to transition to right guard for the Bears. I just hope they don't make the decision of moving Whitehair and Daniels again this offseason. They had to switch it back. I think leave it as it is for now and bring in this piece to solidify that offensive line. If you look at tackle, a guy I'm looking at just played in the championship game last night with Clemson is Tremaine Ankrum, if you're looking at tackle. That's a guy I could see, possibly being a good fit for the Bears as well. Then at the tight end position, the guy I'm all over, and I think Hub was on the right path. I think he meant to say Bryson Hopkins from Purdue. I would love to see the Bears grab him with either one of those picks in the second round. I think the kid's a playmaker, and I really believe he could be a perfect fit in this offense because, guys, we know Shaheen isn't going to be here. We don't know what's going to happen with Trey Burton. And, yes, Horsted and Holtz, showed up a little bit, but we need an impact player at that position. And I think we're going to have to find it in the draft because I don't think we're going to be able to pay any of these larger name free agents the kind of money that they're looking for.
Yeah, I'm excited for you, Ryan. You get to go to the Senior Bowl next week. We hear about all the fun stories. Like I said, I never remember the name of that bar that Schofield told us about. That's right across the street from the
Aldo
Senior
was talking
Bowl.
about it in the chat.
But
see if I could find
I'm excited to hear those stories. But I'm also excited to see your coverage. Yeah, Veets. Everyone's saying that what happens at Veets stays at Veets. Badgley, you better watch out.
Well,
I'm excited
I'll be
to hear
prepared.
the Badge and Shimon escapades.
And Aldo too, right?
Yeah, and Aldo as well. Yeah, so they're going to be there in the beginning of the week. I get in on Thursday, so I'm kind of, the end of the week party. I believe we're going to try to do a live show while we're either at the hotel or possibly maybe at one of the practices on Thursday.
At Veets.
Yeah, maybe it beats.
Oh my God,
you never
that'd be amazing.
So, really looking forward to being down there with these guys. I've never experienced anything like this before. I had a couple baseball tryouts with the Reds and Braves when I was a junior and senior in high school. And of course it goes nowhere. They're always only looking for pitchers and catchers. So if you're a position player like I was, they're not even really talking to you. So to go and see this and watch these guys work, and see them practice, I'll be there in time to catch the last practice. And then I'm excited for the game. Hopefully we're going to be handing out a badge of honor to a player down there. We're going to be, we mentioned it to Jim Nagy when we had him on Draft on Tap, that, it's something we'd like to do. So we're in the process of working that out. Jamie Dragani, the ball girl, has made up a ball for us to bring down there. And, just really looking forward to the experience and hanging out with my guys. I've talked to Eldo a million times through Skype, over text. Can't wait to meet him in person for the first time, and the same for Danny.
Yeah, well, they're great guys. I've met them both at training camp.
Just a few times, Greg. Just a few.
It's over. No, it's over. But I'm excited for you guys. I need video from you, Badge, when you're on the field and you're seeing little one-on-ones. People people can't get enough of that stuff. I can't get enough of that stuff. So get as much video as you can, even if you don't post it right away and you post it later. You see something unique going on, if somebody's doing something funny, but mostly I want to see the action. So when these guys are hitting the grindstone, we don't have camp anymore, so we need something. So I need it from you, Badge. This is your chance to step up.
I got you.
And then
follow
the game.
at Draft Tap on Twitter.
There you go.
So look there. That's where you'll find
and
everything Senior Bowl.
At Ryan Badgley 40 as well. Yep. And then we're going to see some great video, some great interviews. You're going to just see top of the line coverage. You got three members of Bears Barroom that are going to be out at the Senior Bowl. It's exciting stuff. We were going to spend all show talking about it because all this, but then all this stuff hit us
all
with
the news, bro.
The bombshells, and then Hub comes through in the clutch and added him, and before you know it, we got a jam-packed show. So that was that's exactly what we want here at Shy Fans. The Stands, you never know, and you gotta roll with the punches, and we've been able to kind of cover quite a few things, and but it's been nice because I'm looking forward to hear what you have to say, what Aldo has to say, what Danny Shimon has to say. Obviously you got the 100 Proof Gang. I wonder what the 100 Proof Gang is going to do before Senior Bowl next week. They might have to do it earlier in the show. Oh, Badge, a little teaser there, huh? Badge is going to be up there.
Going to be joining the gentleman on 100 Proof next week, filling in for Aldo.
See, and that's why. Oh, filling in. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off. I tend to do that. Joe's used to
you're
it.
good. Yeah. So.
He's right. He's right.
Yeah. So we'll probably be talking about the Senior Bowl and whatnot.
Not so for you.
You know what that means. It means it's the time of the show where we go into the No Scoops for You segment.
Not so for you.
And what that means is I get to pick one thing, and both of my, both Badge and Greg get to go as well after my main portion here. It's something that really grinds my gears this week in sports, something that kind of pisses me off. And for those of you that are living under a rock, the Houston Astros this week got some pretty harsh penalties handed down to them from the Major League Baseball for using technology to steal signs. And some of the penalties that they have is manager A.J. Hirsch has been suspended for 1 year. GM Jeff Luna also suspended for a year, as well as assistant GM Brandon Taubman. And they've forfeited their first and second round draft picks for the next 2 years and were fined $5 million. So, man, they really grind my gears, and it's for you guys in the Astros organization.
Not so for you.
And I took this week, actually the last day, to work on a little parody song. I'm channeling my inner draft Dr. Phil. So I went ahead and worked on this song, a little bit of help from Greg Braggs as well. So ladies and gentlemen, here is the world premiere of a song called They Stole the Signs. So here we go.
They stole the signs. They stole the signs. They stole the signs.
They had a good team. You'd hardly believe they won the World Series. It's so bad. How can a fan like me care for you? Why do I bother when you stole the signs from me? When is enough enough? They stole the signs, and it opened up my eyes. They stole the signs. The league is demanding, no chance of understanding. They stole the signs, and it opened up my eyes. They stole the signs. Nobody's gonna help you up to get suspended right where you belong. It's right where you belong.
They stole the signs.
I rooted for you, the underdog with players we adored. How could a team like you bring me joy? In the locker room where I see a lot of young and rising stars. When is enough enough? They stole the signs, and it opened up my eyes. They stole the signs. The league is demanding, no chance of understanding. They stole the signs, and it opened up my eyes. They stole the signs. Nobody's gonna help you up to get suspended where you belong. It's right where you belong.
They stole the signs. They stole the signs.
They stole the sign, and it opened up my eyes. The league's not happy now thinking about you. They've left you all alone. They stole the signs, and it opened up my eyes. They stole the signs. No one's gonna help you up to get suspended right where you belong. They stole the sign, and it opened up my eyes. They stole the signs. The league is demanding, no chance of understanding. They stole the signs, and it opened up my eyes. They stole the signs.
They stole the signs. They stole the signs.
They stole the signs, ladies and gentlemen.
That was great. That was great. I'm clapping over here. That was fantastic.
And they, the Houston Astros organization, get
no soup for you. No soup for you.
So they're my no scoops for you for the week. So before we move on to the second,
that was a pretty. Slow down. That was a pretty legendary no scoops for you right there.
That was.
I mean, you put together a pretty nice song there, Joe.
Yeah, you like that?
Was very nice. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it. And then it, like Phil songs, it ran a little long. And
there it is.
No, Phil would probably love it. Although it's getting contagious around here. Aldo's making songs, Joe's making songs. Phil makes 15 songs a week. And, I got guys in the chat room. I think I just saw Zach Sullivan say he sent a parody in. So, this parody stuff, it gets contagious here on Bears Barroom Radio Network. And, Joe got hit with the bug, as we know from his American Idol days and Grease Lightning and everything else that we've learned from One Joey Two Scoops. He's got a lot of musical inclination inside his blood, and it is wanting to, it wants to burst out of him, and so we don't hold that down here at Shy Fans, and we want Joe to, use that musical talent and let his wings spread like a bird. Like a bird, exactly, just like that, Joe. And flying in the sky, very high, very proud. And that was that was a very nice song. I'm sure the 100 Proof Gang will have a lot of fun with some drops from that song. It was very nice. So if we're gonna stick with our No Scoops for You segment, and I guess I'll go, so then Badge can make sure he's got his honorable mention down for his No Scoops for You nominee. But mine, of course, goes to those Chicago Bears. We're going to revert back to what we talked about to start this show, and they are getting it. The no scoops for you go to the Chicago Bears for ending training camp at Bourbonnais. And no, I don't care that it's best for the team because I'm a selfish fan. So there, I said it. I don't care. No, I don't care. It was a beautiful thing. They could have just shimmied it down to a week there, go there for 4 or 5 open practices, let 10,000 fans come there for 5 days, and it would have been just fine. It wouldn't have bugged anybody. They could have kept the Bourbonnais tradition alive, and they didn't, and they're jerks. And it really upsets me. There's really nothing I can say about it. We're looking forward to how they're going to distribute the tickets. I think most of us are dreading it after, like we said, what we went through in the Bears 100 experience. I don't know how much they're going to take the fans into consideration. This is more of a let's do this and get it over with kind of a mentality. And I don't think there's as much, as much as they make it seem like they're making sure they're taking everybody into interest. I think they're just making sure they're all right. And then after that, if the fans are okay, that's okay too. But they're not really too worried about the fans, and they're a great organization. I love the Bears. I go to all the games. It doesn't stop me from watching all the games, buying all their merchandise, going to every sporting event. But they're not always the best when it comes to accommodating the fans. I think the bobbleheads this year as giveaways coming in was the first real tip of the hat to the fans coming in and really rewarding them with something at the gate, not like some silly little like flag or a little, a little cup holder, cup sleeve, we got a sweet little bobblehead every time he came to the game this year. So it felt nice, at least for the ones that came in and got it early. So, you like when they take care of you as the fan. I know that's not what it's all about. We want the Bears to win a Super Bowl. That's what it's all about. But, the fans are what make the sports too. So you want to make sure you take care of them. It's a little bit of a balance. So hopefully Halas Hall's training camp is special in its own way. But unfortunately, the Chicago Bears organization gets my no scoops for you for this week for taking Bourbonnais from me. How dare you? I'm heartbroken.
No soup for you. No soup for you.
Now, Badge, how about you, man? Who is your no scoops for you for this week?
Well, I had one originally, but as I'm sitting here watching NFL Network and they just replayed the first down that was granted to the Green Bay Packers in the divisional round, my no soup for you goes to the officials in the Green Bay-Seattle game in the divisional round this weekend for granting the Packers a first down when from every single damn camera angle that anybody posted, you could see that it clearly wasn't a first down. Now, granted, yeah, exactly. Had the Packers gone for it, which I'm sure they probably would have, I'm sure most likely they would have picked it up. But come on. You got to be better. The NFL officiating, man. Yeah, exactly, is just atrocious. So my no scoops for you is to the NFL officials in the Green Bay-Seattle game from this weekend.
There you go, boys. I love it. And now I finally figured out what is the opposite of no scoops for you. And it's two scoops for you. So, my two scoops for you of the week, I'm going to go ahead and give it to Derrick Henry, man. That guy is an absolute beast. Not only this week, but last week. He's carrying the Tennessee Titans on his back. So, my two scoops for you this week goes to Mr. Derrick Henry.
No soup for you. No soup for you.
But he gets soup.
Okay.
Scoops.
Okay, I like it. The two scoops. You either get no scoops or you get two scoops.
That's right.
In our weekly scoops segment.
Yes. Who are you giving two scoops to this week, Greg? Anybody?
You kind of jumped this on me. I'm excited now.
I know who it is. You went to a bunch of games and you watch this guy all the time. That's who I think you're going to give it to.
I don't know who you're two scooping me. You're scaring me. Well, of course, my two scoops, we were mentioning Bryson Hopkins earlier from Purdue University. But, of course, if anybody follows me on Twitter, they know I'm deeply enthralled into Purdue basketball right now. And my two scoops for you is going out to Purdue because they're scrapping through the Big Ten right now. And I don't know how much you guys follow college basketball, but the Big Ten is ripping each other to shreds as it currently stands. You've got 12 teams in the top 45, 41 in the RPI ranking. You've got 5 or 6 teams in the top 25, 6 teams in the top 25 Purdue just outside of the top 25, just taking down Michigan State on Saturday, the top team in the Big Ten. They've got, the Michigan State was undefeated in the Big Ten at the time, coming into Mackey. Purdue had just blown a game in Illinois where they lost by 20. Then they play in Michigan at Ann Arbor, double overtime, and they blow it. And it's just, like I said, the Big Ten is going to be a dogfight. You got Wisconsin losing to Illinois at home. Then Wisconsin beats Ohio State on the road. Ohio State loses to Indiana at Indiana. Purdue beats Michigan State. Michigan State beats Michigan. This is just going on and on and on every day. Every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, it seems like, as many Big Ten games is being played. It's just a dogfight, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this finishes out. I'm really excited for the Purdue Boilermakers because last year they made a run and they fell just short of the Final Four, losing to Virginia, the eventual national champions. And this is a young team for Purdue. And as I said last week, I got a good buddy on the team, Sasha Stefanovic, and he's really starting to assert himself on that team. One of the top 3-point shooters in all of the Big Ten. I think before the last game, he was second in the Big Ten in 3 points made, second in 3-point percentage. He's second in highest increase in points per game average. So he's just lighting it up right now. Really exciting personally because I've watched him play throughout his high school career. Now to watch him come to the Big Ten stage and start to really assert himself, it's amazing. But just as a big picture for a team standpoint, it's exciting to watch them try to scratch their way into the tournament because you're going to need about 16, 17 wins if you're in the Big Ten to get a bid from the selection committee. And, it's going to be hard. But I believe the record for teams from a conference to make a tournament is 12, and I think that might have been the ACC, but it's been a while. The Purdue Twitter account had tweeted me the stat earlier, and it's not right in front of me. But, you're looking at Purdue, the Big Ten having a good chance at having at least 10. And I know that sounds crazy, but if you really look at the way it's laid out on their RPI rankings, as I said, 12 of them are in the top 43 right now. Well, there's 64 spots in the tournament. So,
right.
It's going to be really interesting. But to make a long-winded Two Scoops nominee short, I'm taking the Purdue Boilermakers. Thank you, Joey, for to my attention. Yeah, and I'm excited with this segment. We'll let Badge give out his Two Scoops nominee here in a second. But I'm excited, Joe, for this segment. We're gonna have to get, a good opening for the no scoops part, and then the two scoops. I don't know. We'll have to have a meeting of the minds of how that's gonna sound. But something funny.
I planned on doing it today, and then I kind of got sidetracked by my song.
Two scoops. Something funny.
That's probably it. I think I'm gonna grab that audio. That's it. We're done.
Two scoops for you.
Oh, that's gonna be all over 100 proof now. That's gonna be amazing.
That's all I got right now. It's getting late.
It sounds like the bartender at the Billy Goat Tavern. It sounds like
sounds like that German song back in the Du hast. That's what it sounds like.
By Rammstein.
Yeah. So, Badge, your Two Scoops nominee, the brand new segment, Two Scoops.
That's right.
You had me swung there with college basketball as my orange took out the defending champion Virginia Cavaliers on Saturday, but
there it is.
I'm not going to go with that. Ooh. I am going to go to the Cincinnati Bengals, and here is why.
Oh.
They sat there last night and watched their number one draft pick throw 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
The college football playoff championship game and light up the defending champions and put 45 or 42 points up on the defending champions and then smoke a cigar walking off the field and ending his college career as a champion. So my Two Scoops goes to the Cincinnati Bengals because I don't think they need to see any more from Joe Burrow. He should be their number one pick.
Nothing for you.
That is very nice.
That was a very nice segment. Then there's no question about it. Joe Burrow looks like the real deal. I guess my biggest question will be, how does he look, when he doesn't have that much time to throw, I feel like, and not last week, or last night when he's playing LSU, or not LSU, Clemson, they fly around a little faster than the average team. But, overall, you're going to be facing a much faster, you're going to have to get that ball out. And we all know he's got clock inside his head. They were showing it even last night, how he gets it out in 1.5, 2 seconds every time. But has tremendous talent, can't miss first-round pick. Cincinnati should feel lucky that there isn't like some other guy that could sway them hard enough to like not sure who to pick. And they've just got a can't miss. Number one, you're going to take them unless some team comes in and wants to give you 5 first-round picks. That's the only way you're going to give that up. Exactly. Cincinnati's ready to go. They're finally ready to spring back into relevancy. They've been a nobody team, it seems like for a while, kind of even, below mediocrity almost. They're always seeming to find a way to have losing seasons. And they have a good roster. It's just, they've just always, even under Marvin Lewis, never really had, that spark. They've had a couple years, and early on when they had Carson Palmer, another first-round pick quarterback, and looked like everything was getting ready to go for them, and Chad Johnson, and they had all those receivers, TJ Houshmandzadeh, and all these guys, and it looked like they were getting ready to make a little push there. And then Carson Edwards gets hurt in the playoffs, takes a little low shot to the knee, and their franchise hasn't been the same ever since. So now here they are all these years later and have a chance to bring in a franchise quarterback. Maybe A.J. Green wants to stay now, and you got yourself a chance to really build something there. I'd love to hear your thoughts, Badge. Speaking of the national championship and Joe Burrow putting on a show last night, what players, I know you mentioned the linemen, what other players that are coming out here? I know there was a plethora of them on both sides of the ball, so I'd love to hear a few names in particular that maybe the Bears would be concerning that were playing in last night's national championship game that everyone watched.
Yeah, I mean, you've got names galore coming out this year, coming out next year. I mean, obviously Joe Burrow, the Bears won't have a chance, but Trevor Lawrence, now he's only a sophomore, but that's the first game he's lost in his college career, and I've got a pretty good feeling it's probably going to be his last, because I got to believe Clemson is probably going to be the favorite to win the national championship next year. Travis Etienne, running back from Clemson, another guy that's a special talent. T. Higgins is another player from Clemson that I like, wide receiver. I got to see these guys in action when they played Syracuse at the Carrier Dome this year, and really all these guys that I'm going to mention had big impacts in the game. Defensive side of the ball for the Clemson Tigers, A.J. Terrell. I know he was the one covering Jamar Chase last night, but I really think A.J. Terrell is a good corner and will have, will finish his career pretty well. You look at the LSU team, Jamar Chase, now he's only a sophomore, and he had 9 catches for 221 yards, so he's eligible to come out next year. Justin Jefferson, 8 catches, 106 yards, had a great game. So, I'm excited for, both of these teams over the next 2 seasons.
How about this running back from LSU? Is there any way we can get this dude on the Bears? This dude, we thought Tariq Cohen could be the next Darren Sproles, but this 22 for LSU, he looks like the next Darren Sproles. Maybe a little bigger than him, but man, what explosion.
Yeah.
You could just see it in his legs. He had that one sideways jump cut where he completely left a guy in the dust, and he finishes runs.
Yeah, Clyde Edwards-Helaire you're talking about.
That's the guy I want to pair with, Tariq and get him in that running back room, because David Montgomery, I love him, but hey, you can never have enough running backs, and this guy looks like he's going to be the real deal. What round is he going in?
Well, so Hub talked about it. Cohen is a kind of a change of pace guy. So they really need a second running back as well. You look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, you look at his stats from this season, 218 attempts for 1,414 yards, 16 touchdowns. And he catches the ball out of the backfield, 55 catches, 453 yards, and a touchdown from out of the backfield as well. So
this dude's not getting out of the second round, huh?
Yeah, I really don't see. I mean, at this point, it's so hard to say with some of these guys because he's only a junior. So a lot of these guys that played in this game last night haven't even announced whether they're going to declare or not. So that's a decision now that he has to make, and some of these other players as well, whether or not they're going to enter the draft. Now, if I'm one of these guys, what more do I have to accomplish maybe other than winning a Heisman at the college level? I mean, most of these guys are probably going to go pro because they've reached the highest level in college football by winning the championship. So he's somebody that if he wasn't high on people's draft boards last night, his performance against a team like Clemson should have really jumped him up their charts very high.
Interesting. Yeah. Definitely somebody I'm going to be keeping an eye on no matter what team he ends up on. He'll be on my fantasy team, my defending champion fantasy
what was that,
team.
Greg?
Did you call me Greg? It's King Greg when we're in reference to our fantasy league because I am your fantasy champion. I am your king. Hey, I was telling one of our other buddies that's in the league, Adam, my neighbor, who's a dumb Lions fan, but he's in our.
I met him. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, I guess he's a nice guy. Shout out to you, Adam, but you're a dumbass. Anyway, I was talking about possibly getting a fantasy football trophy. Now that I won the championship, I kind of feel like our league
you should.
needs a trophy. I didn't like it the years I didn't win, but now that I've won, I kind of feel like I want to like hold something because I still kind of like go around my house and sometimes I'll be walking and I'll be like, I can't believe I won the fantasy. I still feel it, because when you're a champion, it doesn't quite leave you right away.
I think you need a belt, like a WWE championship belt, dude.
Belt
that would be
exactly a belt or a trophy, something we can pass along. But I'm going
to tell you why you don't want a belt, and it's so bulky. Where the hell do you put it? They're so big. You got to get a trophy. You got to get one like this. I got to hand this off to my brother-in-law when I see him because he won the Goon League.
Yeah, but Joe, I'm obnoxious, and I'm always like go big or go home. So it's not going to be like a little trophy. The trophy I'm going to get is going to be like as tall as me. You know what I'm saying?
They sell those. You can get those. It looks like the Lombardi. It says, and it's got FFL. Yeah, so yeah, you got to get one of those, dude. I'm down.
I'm definitely considering it, and as your king, if that's what I decide, that's what.
Oh, you're my king now. I see.
I am anybody that's in our league. I've already explained this to the other guys. Maybe I didn't explain it to you, but I'd appreciate it if I was referred to as King Greg or King Greg.
You win one championship, and now you're the king.
Yeah. Yes. That's how
I'm not in this league.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't won in 10 years. I'm sorry, Joe. You're my good luck charm. You come in the league, and I finally win, and I beat you in the playoffs. So, you've got that love and feeling. That's just how I feel right now. No, it's not. It's a good feeling. I've got good vibes from my championship. That's what I can focus on instead of all this Bears stuff.
There you go.
Before we close out the show, I'd love to hear a little bit of your thoughts here as we head into the NFC and AFC Championship weekend here on Sunday. Got a couple good games slated up for us. I know the 100 Proof Gang tomorrow night on Bears Barroom Radio Network. I'm sure they'll be talking all about it.
Oh, yeah.
And making us laugh with their silly songs. But, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts, as far as, we've still got one team from the NFC North, unfortunately, still representing here in the playoffs, and we want them out fast. So we're really hoping the 49ers can do us a solid and take care of that so we can enjoy our Super Bowl. And that's on one side of the coin in the NFC. And then in the AFC, Patrick Mahomes is back in the AFC Championship, lost to the New England Patriots last year in overtime, back to try to see if he can finish the job, something we were hoping the Bears could do. And unfortunately, we didn't make it to the party, but there the Chiefs are. Now they get the Titans instead of the Ravens, who everyone thought were, one win away from the AFC Championship, and they just couldn't get it going. And Ryan Tannehill, that of his less than 100 yards passing in 2 straight games and led the way by Derrick Henry, find themselves in the AFC Championship, going to Kansas City, playing Patrick Mahomes, Showtime Mahomes. And how do we get the Packers out? I want to hear your thoughts on both games. We're getting close to closing time, but, I'm excited for Sunday. These are, it's probably the best singular day of NFL football of the year. You've got 2 championship games to decide who goes to the Super Bowl. All the other, there's better weekends, there's better Sundays, but there, as far as the 2-game slot for the playoffs, there's no better singular day than the championship day, in my opinion. So, want to hear your guys' thoughts. And Badge, since you're our guest, I'll start with you. I just want to get your biggest takeaways here on both sides of the coin.
So I'll run this, guys. I'll run this by you guys. So 100 years ago, the first ever championship game ever played was the Kansas City Chiefs and Green Bay Packers. Not 100 years ago, but the first Super Bowl was the Kansas City Chiefs and Green Bay Packers. So we sit now celebrating the NFL's 100th season and have the possibility of seeing the very first Super Bowl ever played again if the Chiefs and Packers win. I'll be honest, I think that is what it will come down to. I do believe we will see a Chiefs-Packers Super Bowl. I think the Niners showed their hand when they played Green Bay earlier on in the season, and I think Green Bay will be much more prepared for what they throw at them this time. I do think it'll be a low-scoring game. I could see it being a Mason Crosby walk-off field goal as time expires for Green Bay. And I definitely think the Chiefs are going to have to fight with the Tennessee Titans just because Derrick Henry is a freaking monster. But I do think the Chiefs will end up pulling that out. And I think it'll be a Chiefs-Packers Super Bowl.
Wowzer, Badge.
Yeah.
That's big time stuff right there.
Badge picking the Packers to go to the Super Bowl. Well,
I know. I hate it.
We'll
I hate
never
myself
have
for it, but
we'll never have Badge on again, Joe. So that is confirmed.
Appreciate the time, guys.
We don't give a fuck.
Tooch just left the chat room. People are dropping like flies. Thank you very much, Badge, for your input. Now, Joe. No, I'm kidding. No, hey, I get where you're coming from, and maybe that if we get the Chiefs and the Packers, they were in the first Super Bowl, and we get it this time. Who are you taking? Because I don't think you answered that.
Oh, I'm taking the Chiefs.
Taking the Chiefs. Yeah, we cannot have the Packers winning a Super Bowl.
No.
If the Chiefs and Packers, it's interesting because, if it's the Chiefs and the Niners, I'll enjoy the Super Bowl just for the spectacle of the Super Bowl. If it's the Niners and the Titans, that sounds really boring. I don't know.
See, I think I would really enjoy that, actually.
Oh,
because I think it would be a back-and-forth run battle. I just think...
The only thing that would be funny about Titans and Niners is it would thumb at all the people that think that you can only get to the Super Bowl if you have a quarterback that throws for 500 yards, and we have two teams in there that throw for 100 yards a game.
Hey, the 49ers have a quarterback, guys. I don't know if you looked at Jimmy Garoppolo's stats this year. They have a quarterback, but and Ryan Tannehill had fantastic stats during his starting portion of the season as well. So, now that I'm talking, I'm picking the 49ers and the Titans. I think that's going to be the Super Bowl. It's going to be the non-State Farm Super Bowl. So you're going to have Jimmy G versus Ryan Tannehill, and I think you're onto something, Badge. I think Derrick Henry is going to hammer the Chiefs this weekend, and I think that's going to be the recipe to success. But the way they win the game is Ryan Tannehill has a big-time play down the field to tight end Janu Smith. I think Geno Smith's going to be the guy that wins the game for the Titans on Sunday. And then I think the 49ers just edge out the Packers. I know they lost to them earlier this year, but I don't think the teams are even close right now. The Packers don't have a whole lot of weapons aside from Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams. And Aaron Rodgers hasn't really played a defense like they have in the playoffs so far. I take the 49ers. And who's my pick to win the Super Bowl, you guys ask? I'm going with the Tennessee Titans over the San Francisco 49ers. Titans beat the 49ers. I'm going to go 28-17.
Wow. Well, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves because next week we have a Super Bowl episode. But we don't know. we don't know who the matchup is, so I like the prognostication because if we get to next week and some of these have come true, we'll run back this audio and maybe we'll have something cooking here. It'll be interesting. Personally, I think it'll be the Chiefs and the 49ers because, like as Badge said, the 49ers romped the Packers earlier this year. So
7-8.
Even if the Packers play a little better, I still don't know if they have enough to hold them down. Now, I'm going to contend to you, Joe. You say, hey, they have a quarterback in Jimmy G. He's a fine quarterback. I'm not going to sit here and hate on him, but I think him and a guy like Tannehill, you're seeing the limitations they have. They're dependent because what I think is funny, as a Bears fan, I look at everything through a Bears lens. So when I'm watching these guys and I'm trying to figure out how we fix the Bears, Jimmy G is a fine quarterback, but he has the best tight end in football. He has a very good run game. He has a very good play caller. And, that's not an indictment on Jimmy G. It's just the things that he has to work with. And he looks much more comfortable than our offense looked or our quarterback looked, sure. But he's not, like I said, he had 120 yards and 1 touchdown last game.
Here. Yeah, Aldo just put some stats in the chat. So Jimmy G had 10 games with 0 or only 1 touchdown pass. His stats are inflated by a handful of good games. Only 3 games over 300 yards.
He's just another Mitch Trubisky.
While that may be true, here's Jimmy G's stats for the season, okay? He's got 70% completion. He's thrown for almost 4,000 yards. He averages only about 8.5 yards a throw, 27 TDs, 13 interceptions, and 5 fumbles lost. And so, if you look at that, he's kind of pedestrian, but the thing is, he knows what to do inside that offense.
He's effective on a good team. That's a compliment. It's not a detriment. It's no different than what Mitch was benefiting from last year. Now you look at Ryan Tannehill. His numbers are much more explosive in the time that he has had with Tennessee.
Unreal.
Sure.
But as we've seen here in the playoffs, that hasn't been their recepe. Their recipe is
game plan,
game planning, play calling.
Something Matt Nagy needs to do.
Or just learn. Exactly. And you're seeing it. Mike Vrabel's dialing it up. And in the first game, you're talking about who did they play? The Bills, right? Yep. The Titans played the Bills in the first game, or was that?
No, the Texans played the Bills. The Titans played. Who was the other team?
The Patriots.
Patriots, yes, Patriots.
Right, and you're seeing him out coaching Bill Belichick. Now you're seeing here in the next game going against a guy like Harbaugh, who's been a great coach. A guy that has won a Super Bowl, has been through the playoffs, and now you're seeing Vrabel out coach him. He's a young coach. And now here he is all the way into the AFC Championship with a quarterback who's only had less than 100 yards in the last 2 games, while the running back has led the way. So it would be a little funny to see the Niners and the Titans get there, because then I am going to be chirping at a few people that I always get in my Twitter mentions, always talking about and always harping on, well, it's got to be the quarterback or you have no chance. If it's the Niners and the Titans, they kind of wipe that theory out. It's 2020, and here we are, staring down the barrel of a potential Super Bowl with 2 quarterbacks that have somewhere around 300 yards passing coming in. When Mahomes can get that in a quarter, as we saw there in the last game against the Houston Texans in the son of a Mitch Bowl, as Tom Waddle dubbed it. As Bears fans, that was a tough one to watch. But Yeah. So for me, I think it's going to be I'm taking chalk because I'm scared. So I'm going to take the Chiefs and I'm going to take the Niners. I'm not taking any upsets, but I would have been wrong last week because I don't think I would have taken the Titans over the Ravens. So you never know, but it just seems like it's the Chiefs' time right now. Last year, they were right on the precipice. They had Patrick Mahomes winning MVP. They were right there about to slay the dragon that is the New England Patriots. And now here they are, right back in the AFC Championship a year later, and the Patriots are gone. So it really feels like the stars are lining up for Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, and for Andy Reid to finally get his first, Super Bowl Lombardi trophy. There's a coach, and a guy that Matt Nagy came off of that coaching tree, but Andy Reid himself hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, so he's still, trying to figure it out. As I like to tell Phil, we'll figure it out. And that's what, Andy Reid's been trying to do for all these years and has been denied. He's been to the Super Bowl a few times with the Eagles, and, Terrell Owens put on a hell of a show that night, and they fell short to the Patriots. But, yeah, in the end, it was crickets for them. So Andy Reid's looking to get to the Super Bowl and potentially get his first one. And, Matt Nagy needs to hopefully get a Super Bowl in a shorter time frame because Andy's waited quite some time to get one, and he's had some bad luck in the playoffs. So, we'll see how it goes, but personally feel like it's Patrick Mahomes' time, but really looking forward to seeing what the Sunday championship games are going to be like. So,
hell yeah.
Before we completely sign off for the night, we did have some breaking news drop, right before our show started. A linebacker that is well revered in the league, a guy that, gets a lot of comparisons to a Brian Urlacher, and the Carolina Panthers lost the cornerstone to their franchise. Luke Kuechly, at 28 years old is hanging him up. We saw Andrew Luck before the season say, see you later to the NFL, kind of unexpectedly. And now we see Luke Kuechly here afterwards, saying at 28 years old that he just can't do it anymore. He's had a lot of concussions, and, he just, sad to see, but looks like the Panthers are going to be without their leader on defense, huh, guys?
Yeah, it seems that way. Sad, guy was a great player. Sure really was. Carried that organization on the defensive side of the ball for his 8 years. Defensive Player of the Year in 2013, Rookie of the Year in 2012. Just a great career for Kuechly. Sad to see him go, but he stated it. He felt like it was the right time. So wish him well, and congrats on a great career.
Yeah, he's a guy that, is probably going to end up in the broadcast booth. He's a really well-spoken guy, really knows the game. And here's a little bit from his press conference here, a little audio, so check this out.
I've been fortunate enough to have the opportunity to play this game since I was in 4th grade, and I've been with the Panthers now for 8 years, and it's never the right time to step away, but now is the right time for me. And it's a tough decision. I've thought about it a lot, and I think now is the right chance for me to move on. And it makes me sad because I love playing this game. I've played it since I was a little kid, and it's my favorite thing in the world to do. And the memories I have from this place and this organization.
Well, we lost a little bit of
these guys.
There it goes.
They'll never go away. And I'm sitting right now in the linebacker room, and the amount of memories I've had from this room alone could fill a book. And these are the best times of playing. Obviously on the field is awesome, but some of the best times of playing this game are behind the scenes in the locker rooms, in these meeting rooms, on the buses, traveling the games. You can't replicate that anywhere else, and that's why this is so hard to do, to move on in a different direction.
Yeah, and he broke down numerous times, like Aldo said in the chat room during his press conference. But man, Luke Kuechly, one of the best to play linebacker, especially through his very short but prosperous career in the NFL. And I think we speak for everyone here at the Barroom when we wish Luke Kuechly well in his life after football. And I'm sure he's not done with the game. I think he's going to be involved, whether it's in in the press booth, or covering games, or analyzing, or even coaching. So Luke Kuechly, great player. And I tell you what, I was absolutely shocked when we started the show and when I found out about that, because that's one thing I wasn't expecting to see. But I tell you one thing, he dealt with a lot of concussions, and Luke Kuechly took some pretty scary hits over the years. So for him to step back at this time in his life truly proves that he has something that he's got to step back for, and I for one commend him for that.
Yeah, it's sad stuff. Tough blow for the Panthers organization. Sucks for Luke because I'm sure he loves to play this game and he's doing what's smartest for himself, health wise, and you can't blame him for that. And he's going to be fine financially, so there's no reason to not just make sure you put your health first in that situation. But as a competitor and someone that works their whole life to get to that point. Those guys, even though it becomes about the money once they get to the NFL, it's a business. You do want to win a championship. That's what you grew up dreaming about. You didn't grow up dreaming about getting contracts. You grew up dreaming about winning championships, and he never got to get to that point. So, I fell short, a few years back against the Broncos, but got to see him earlier this year in the preseason when I took Pistol Pete. Joe was at the game
there
as
too.
well. Shy fans in the stands. Preseason week 1 this year, while we had all our hopes and dreams, and our David Montgomery was making nice moves, and
he
and
was.
We were
he was.
eating. I was eating my Italian beef. Remember that, Joe?
You stained your shirt.
Yeah,
bro.
stained my shirt, and Italian beef with the peppers was like making my eyes water so much that my face was melting off, and it was a great day at the ball yard, and unfortunately that was the last time we'll see Luke Kuechly on Soldier Field. So who knew it was going to be at that time, but here we are, and Panthers are going to be searching for answers, as Aldo points out in the chat room. Makes it a little more difficult on the Bears to re-sign guys like Danny Trevathan and Nick Kwiatkowski, because now the market's going to be more juiced up with another position open. So, like everything always reverts back to the Bears here at Bears Barroom Radio Network, and tonight was a fun show. Sorry,
sure was.
Brian. We, like I said, we had a whole show to talk about Senior Bowl. Had a million fun and interesting questions about the Senior Bowl, and then we got thrown a little bit of an audible when Hub came into the mix, and we were glad you were able to be a part of that, and we are appreciative that you were able to hang out with us tonight. It was a little long show with everything going on, and wanted to cover the Senior Bowl, wanted to cover as much as we could. Of course, the Astros cheating. We wanted to talk about that more.
Sure.
But it's just hard. We got another 100 proof tomorrow night for all the listeners, and we know everybody's going to be tuning in. So, we wanted to bring as much as we could in a jam-packed show.
Hell yeah.
From Bears training camp, rug being pulled out from under us, and Hub Arkush, Senior Bowl. We got a new Joey Two Scoops parody song.
Heck yeah.
There you go.
Watch your backdraft, Dr. Phil. We got a new parody man in the house. And
there you go.
It's exciting stuff. And here in the weeks to come, we got the Super Bowl show. It won't be next week. It'll be 2 weeks from now will be the Super Bowl show. So next week will be the Senior Bowl show. Really, we'll be talking a little more about what Ryan's going to be up to. And as Ryan alluded to, he's going to be taking over for Aldo next week on 100 Proof. So those are things to look out for. So that's exciting.
So Aldo and Danny are going to have their weekend at Bernie's with Aldo.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be some funny stuff. Yeah, and of course, look out for everything else on the network. Draft on tap as per usual. Go ahead, Joe.
You got Draft on Tap, and then we got a special show returning on Friday.
Uh-oh.
This is a little bit of breaking barroom news. I'm not going to use the drop because, why should I? Anyway, I have a stream coming back this Friday,
nice.
7 p.m. Central. You've got myself. You've got John Santucci, the Tooch. You've got Aaron Mikulski. And there's a new member of the lineup of I Have a Stream, and this is the first place you're going to hear about it. Draft Dr. Phil Atoshin, going to be on I Have a Stream.
Wow.
I don't know if I'll ever get a word in, but, man, it's going to be a great show.
Breaking news. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Looking forward
That
to
is
it.
awesome. So Draft Dr. Phil's going to break down the film, but it's not going to be football this time. We're going to
Right,
be
it's
talking
gonna-
about Star Wars.
Yeah, we'll be talking about The Mandalorian. We're going to be talking about The Outsider on HBO. I don't know if any of you guys got to watch the 2-episode premiere. It's freaking amazing. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. We'll be talking about all the streaming shows that you guys haven't watched, or if you are watching them, we're going to tell you how good they are and what you should watch and what you shouldn't. So make sure you tune in. It's going to be a whole lot of fun.
That's going to be awesome, guys. Looking forward
that.
to it.
Now, Badge, Aldo's in the chat. He's
Yeah.
real fiery tonight, so
I see that.
I'm
He's-
enjoying what I'm seeing. And he's saying that he better get some ass in mobile or you're in trouble. Now, Badge, here on Bears Barroom Radio Network, like when I went to London, I met up with Barlissimo, George Bayless. He has a brand new show here on our network.
That he
The
does.
Barlissimo show. That second show was earlier today. Go check that out on your podcast stream for Bears Barroom on YouTube and everywhere else, Podbean and all the places. But when I went to London and met up with Barlissimo, we slept in the same bed. To save money. You don't
absolutely.
wanna waste not, want not.
Yep.
So I was just gonna sleep on the floor, but like a gentleman, Barlissimo invited me into his.
I was not
full
as
boat.
nice to you for Bears 100.
Well,
you slept on the floor.
I know. It was just. Well, I was drunker in London.
What the hell, Greg?
So here's the thing. I was much drunker in London. So it was it was just like, hell, why not? I'll sleep with the Barlissimo. So now you're going to Mobile, Alabama. You guys are going to go to Senior Bowl. Then you're going to go to Veets. And then you're going to get drunk. And then you're going to meet up with, Mark Schofield. And then you're going to, go find, strippers. And then get a bunch of drugs. And go run amok and paint the town red and do this with all the beat writers of the Bears. All the guys
It's going to be fantastic.
Brad Biggs, all of them. They're going to be with you. So that's what I want to know is, are you and Aldo going to keep this drive of, Bears Barroom in bed and do a live show from bed? Me and Barlissimo did a live show in bed. We didn't have to share that with the masses, but we want, we're trying to give the people what they want, the content they need. And, people were really chiming for it, and so now we need to know, you and Aldo are going to do the same.
Well, you were on the Christmas show at the same time I was, Greg, and Aldo mentioned on the Christmas show about me bringing my pink panties. So I would pretty much assume that, that was probably going to take place in some way, shape, or form.
That is not very nice.
So I would say the streak will most likely continue. I have a feeling we will probably be pretty well hammered for a majority of most of it.
There you go. I look forward to the video.
We got to do some work too.
Nah.
And I'll get
and we're looking forward to that.
We'll get Danny hooked up. We'll get Aldo hooked up. I'll take care of my boys.
Draft on Tap, boys, down in Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl. What better, that's how network covers the Chicago Bears. They go all the way down to Alabama to go check out.
Great show coming up this week. Aldo filling in for me. My daughter's got a late game, so Aldo's actually going to take over the hosting duties for me this week. So tune in, 8 Central, 9 Eastern this week, Thursday for Draft on Tap with Aldo and Danny.
There you go. Make sure you don't miss that.
Yep. He's got Vegas Scores and Odds, Mike North, the Mike North Advantage. You got the Barfly Tailgate Show. Of course, Joe just announced I have a stream Friday coming back, talking Star Wars, Draft Dr. Phil. Gonna be a 3-hour show minimum.
Absolutely.
Tune in. Gonna be a lot of fun. You got Shy fans rocking and rolling here in the off season. We're gonna try to, keep things spicy for you. Got a fun guest tonight, Hub Arkush. See who else we can work for the off season. You know we're gonna bring on our buddy Mark Silverman. Sylvie, you heard Waddle and Sylvie earlier tonight on the show. And we're definitely going to bring those guys on. Yeah, make sure you check out Buffon 55. They always keep it going. Thursday, 7 p.m., season wrap-up of Buffon 55, Buffon 55 special. He's been knocking it out all year long.
Absolutely.
He just does such a great job. And
they're having Lauren Cox on the show.
There you go. Lauren Cox, friend of the Barroom, and does a great job in his own right, finishing up with Buffon. And it's been a fun season with Bears Barroom because we always keep it fun no matter what's going on with the team. But hopefully we can combine that fun we have with some fun back on the field like we were feeling in 2018 and get back to positive vibes, because it's just been tough. And we finished the year with the final blow of the 2019 season. Like I said, I'm piling this in with the 2019 year. I'm not saying this is the start of the 2020 year because my brain can't handle it. So 2019 season, rest in peace, Bourbonnais, training camp. I'll never forget it. I'll always love it. The days of Devin Hester and Brian Urlacher, Lance Briggs, Peanut Tillman, Mike Brown. One time Mike Brown was looking into the stands. One time Tillman was looking in the stands. I always think it's Mike Brown. One time Mike Brown ran off the field right after getting hurt the year before and ran and jumped over the baseball outfield wall, which was on the backside of where the football field was. It was this really high fence, and he jumped it like it was nothing. And he went running, and somebody's like, "Careful, Mike," because he just got hurt. And he was like, "I gotta pee," and he's just running through the baseball field. And one time, Peanut Tillman, there's all these touchdowns sailing over. I can't remember. I think it was Cutler. Cutler was throwing all these touchdown bombs over, Alshon, Marshall, whoever it was. And Tillman turns to the crowd and goes, "Hey, the defense plays for you too." Because everybody was just rooting for all the touchdowns. Everybody's cheering, going crazy after every touchdown. He's like, "Defense plays for you too." So then a few plays later, defense made a play, so everybody gave him like the Bronx cheer, and everybody went crazy for him. He's like, thank you. And like I said on Twitter, Tommy Harris stands out to me as maybe a Bourbonnais legend, a guy that I can remember standing out after camp, because they would just let you stay there as long as you want. Tommy Harris would stay after practice, after a 2-hour practice, and stand there for another 2 hours and greet every fan that wanted to meet him. And I can always remember Tommy being the last one off the field with that old team. And they were all great guys. Devin Hester, my favorite Bear of all time. I could go on and on with the memories. Brandon Marshall,
yes,
I really could. Brandon Marshall, the first time he ever came to camp, made a one-handed catch, and everybody looked in the stands at each other like, well, I've never seen that before. You just hadn't in a Bears uniform. You never seen a guy catch a ball, let alone with one hand. And it was just a lot of fun. Even when Martellus getting in a fight with Kyle Fuller, or Akeem Hicks and Kyle Long getting in a fight every week. It was just a lot of fun. And then the 2018 Bears were kind of like the cherry on top to a great Bourbonnais run. And Josh Bellamy kind of finally got his final year. He was always there grinding real hard, having fun with some bad teams. And then the 2018 Bears came to be this like fun swagger team, and he was at the forefront of having fun, and they really set the tone in Bourbonnais that year. So I'm going to miss it, but all things must come to an end at some point, I guess. And on to Halas Hall. I've never been to Halas Hall, so I'm looking forward to seeing the digs. Maybe we can bring on somebody from the Bears organization that wants to talk about some of the direction in which the team's going. And
you got your guy.
Yeah,
don't you have your guy?
You never know. Maybe I'll ask him and see if he wants to chat about what's to come for us. We're all wondering now with the changes of training camp. So you never know. I've got a few guys, but again, had a lot of fun with you guys tonight. Ryan Badgley, Badge, as we affectionately call you here on Bears Barroom Radio Network.
The Badger.
Had a lot of fun with you tonight. Again,
Appreciate
just like
it, guys.
last week, we said we were going to go an hour, and then we went 2 hours. So Joe knows I'm no shortage of words, so I'll kick it to Joe, and then we'll end it like we always do. But had a lot of fun with both of you gentlemen tonight, and great show, and look forward to 100 Proof tomorrow night with the gang at 8 p.m. Central, as per usual, with their Work That Ass songs or whatever the heck else they got cooking
Work
up.
that ass for
I
mean,
they
that
got
song
that
had to have been,
right?
Yeah,
I shared that with them a few weeks back.
Yes, I did. Shane was showing me that, and it's just amazing how things just turn into an avalanche of crap. And Shane and Phil, up to their usual tricks, and to be honest with you, that song was stuck in my head all week. So
I love it. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know where they're gonna go this week with it, and I'm just scared now because I'm trapped in this cocoon of craziness, and Phil's just gonna take you through just these weaves of craziness and silliness. So I just don't know where it's gonna go tomorrow night. I'm scared and I'm excited all at the same time. So tune into 100 Proof tomorrow and we'll find out. But again, Joe, I'm gonna let you rap because I don't know how to rap. I don't know what to do with my hands. You know me. I just keep talking. I don't know.
I got it.
Finish
I got
a sentence.
it.
I just keep going. Badge is looking at. You're looking at me. I get nervous. I got the camera here. Aldo wants this to go to live video, but I don't. Yeah, I know. I see the clock. It makes me nervous, and then you guys put a live video on me. I'm looking at myself and the camera on the top right. I'm looking at both you guys, and I don't know how to stop talking sometimes. I could just keep going. And
3 hours later.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like Michael Scott. You just never know. And I don't know how to finish a sentence because I just start one and I don't even know where it's going to be when it ends. So, Joe, that being said, had a fun show. There you go.
It was a great show. I got to thank everybody that stuck around in the chat room. I've got a whole lot of people. My dad, ISO Bob, Rel Ramey, the Tooch. We got Mo Beer Man. You got Aldo that hung out the entire show. Alex Acevedo. I think Sully was in there for a while. I mean, these guys are sticking around the entire show. So mad props to everyone for hanging out and spending their evening with us. Mo Beer Man. I can't remember if I said his name or not. But thanks to everybody for hanging out and having a great time with us. Huge shout out to Hub Arkush for coming on and giving us over 20 minutes of his time. Hub is the man. He is truly the man, the myth, the legend, and the class act. So huge thanks to Hub. And Badge, big thanks to you, brother, for joining us. Love hearing about the draft and everything that's coming up. I always appreciate you, my brother. And I got to give a big old shout out to Greg Braggs, Greggy Sunshine. Greg, I love you, buddy, and thanks for sailing the ship tonight, and I'm just here to tell you what to do sometimes.
Yeah, shut it. Shut the hell up and sign off because I don't know how. No, appreciate everybody in the chat room all night long, hanging out. Again, like you said, Hub Arkush, legend. So is Ryan Badgley, a legend in his own right. And thank you to everyone in the chat room. And as always, Joe, we sign out one way. And that's the only way we know how with our man Kanye waiting for the Super Bowl. But first we need Green Bay to take a seat. What you say, Shy City?
And you say Shy City? Shy City? Shy City? I'm coming home again. Do you think about me now and then? Yeah. Do you think about me now and then? 'Cause I'm coming home again. I met this girl when I was 3 years old, and what I love most, she had so much soul. She said, excuse me, little homie, I know you don't know me, but my name is Wendy, and I like to from that